Yeah.
Okay, thank you, because my button is obscured for some reason.
All right.
Welcome, folks, to episode 2 of the Flo and Snow Show, where we discuss entrepreneurial related items, leadership, and also sales. With me today, beaming in live from France. If you weren't here for the very beginning, I was offering my condolences and support to France and the French people due to the recent incidents. But with me live from France is my co-host Flo, who is a startup and sales specialist. He's been helping me a lot in launching my business. He is a cold calling specialist. So I really appreciate his expertise and his input and feedback. Flo, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for the intro, Anthony. Thanks for being here. Hello, everybody. I just want to quickly introduce yourself. Anthony is helping me a lot in leadership development, developing my leadership skills. Basically, what he does, he's an empowerment coach, leadership developer, and a speaker. And he works actually with almost everyone from recovering addicts up to Fortune 500 managers. And his main goal is to help people to develop their leadership skills for business and life.
Thank you for that intro, Flo. In today's show, we're going to be talking about leadership versus sales skills and which one is more important for an entrepreneur and why. Of course, based on the introductions, I will be representing the leadership side of the ring, and my man Flo here is going to be representing the sales side of the ring. But we absolutely want to hear from participants in the audience what your thoughts are, which one you think is more important, as we all try to support one another with our entrepreneurial endeavors and our startups and just basically trying to make things happen. So with that, let's just open it up. And Flo, I guess the first thing I would ask is, just for the sake of this discussion, what is your definition of sales? And welcome, Believe in Business. You have a question, and just for everyone that's participating, if you type /Q, it will highlight the question for us so that it sticks out from all the other correspondence. So give it a try, just /Q, and it'll pop your question up, but ask questions whenever you like. So we got our first question before we even jump into the discussion. Is cold calling still relevant in the internet age?
Good question. I got asked that a lot of times. And surely, yes. And there are different reasons. But first of all, it depends on your business, on the business model, if it's B2B, B2Cs. And so in general, cold calling or with calls, you have another completely other approach than with the internet or like internet marketing, social media. You come from another angle. And especially, you reach businesses easier that way. But good question.
So when you say you reach businesses easier that way, because I know, Flo, in your support of me, I was telling you that, I didn't even want to engage in cold call. I wanted to try to do everything over the internet. So when you talk about a business perspective, what do you mean that it's easy to reach a business that way? Are businesses not on the internet?
No, look, businesses are on the internet. Definitely, you can reach a business. That's not reaching is not a problem. But who do you want? You have to ask yourself, who do you want to reach, and what is your goal in reaching them? So I assume, Believe in Business, you say for startups. Definitely, I coach a lot of startups in the B2B space in cold calling. That's very relevant. And especially there, when you ask yourself, who do you want to reach? Usually, if you have a big project, what you want to sell, or a service who's high priced, then you want to reach someone who's responsible for that. That's the main thing. If that's a high ticket, let's say a high ticket solution, then you want to reach C-level executives, founders, and or managing directors. And the best way to reach them is via cold calling, via calling. There's no other easier option. You can tweet them. Okay, sometimes it works, but you can't tweet like 100 CEOs and have the same answer rate than via cold calling. And then it's also about your goal. What do you want to do? Social media marketing, or marketing, email marketing, or using the internet is basically a one-sided approach. And that's the biggest flaw of that.
What do you mean by a one-sided approach?
Well, you go out and tell, okay, I have that to deliver. I have that solution, that service. But you don't engage the other person.
Okay.
That much then with calling. When I ask you a question, Anthony, you feel responsible to deliver me an answer, even though you don't know the answer. Then you just say, "Oh, Flo, you know what? I don't know right now."
Okay.
And when you write an ad and write a question there, you can read it. And do you write an answer back? It's not that likely.
Okay. And I would add to that too, because I know in starting my business, I would love to be able to do it 100% over the internet. And I'm going to be brutally honest here, primarily because I hate cold calling. Cold calling gives me nightmares. But what I'm starting to discover is that I'm also better able to develop relationships by picking up a phone and speaking to someone. They can get a better sense of my energy and my personality through this little device right here. So in this internet age, we've stepped so far away from this device that some of our communication, not all of it, some of it has become very impersonal. And if I'm trying to sell, the first thing I'm selling is myself. Over the phone or even face-to-face, which is what I prefer, I have a better opportunity to connect with them and for them to get a sense of who Anthony Snowden is, which I'm the person behind my brand. Now, you can do that over the internet, and I do a lot of internet-type marketing. I think it just needs to be a good mix of some of the personal and some of the, internet viral, touching as many people as possible concept.
That's right. You said that you have a good point. Right now you have to have a good mix, but still one doesn't thrive without the other. And you said another good thing that you can convey your personality better than with a colder approach of writing an ad or Facebook advertisement or using social media whatsoever. There was another question.
Yes, there was.
But you're not risking your rotation, but cheap.
So the old-fashioned boilerplate.
Yeah. Well, it all depends on how many who do you target, and how many potential customers are there. If you are in a space for example, the other day I talked with a startup. They have to get in touch with all the major airlines in the States. They are round about 50 to 100, not that many, and still cold calling is the only and the best approach to do so. Sure, you will kind of risk a reputation, but I wouldn't say so. Look, people don't remember that you called. They forget it and the next day. They forget it in a few hours even. And I think it's just, to be honest, I think that it's just kind of an excuse for not doing cold calling. I heard it a lot of times. Oh yeah, reputation risk. And when I started out my first boiler room, I had the same. Oh yeah, but what what about if they think bad about me? But they don't remember you. And actually, people don't remember you because there's so much information overload. That's why you have to be persistent and have to follow up constantly. And people then appreciate it. If you have a really valuable product or valuable service, then you have to do it. Then you have to be persistent with any channel you can have, either social media, email, and the phone.
Yeah, I agree with that. It has to be a mix. And I would also argue to the opposite point that what about the use of internet and marketing? It's getting to a point now where all the electronic communication that I receive feels just like the old telemarketer kind of concept, because when I open my email, I get 1,000 different solicitations. I barely read them anymore because so many people use the internet so often that the internet is becoming more of that telemarketing device for me. And I'm more likely to talk to somebody on the phone because the phone is going to cut through all the noise of all the tweets, emails, and posts that I'm getting on my Facebook page, where it used to be the other way around, I think, because internet marketing now is so common. I belong to a couple of different groups. So I'm a coach, and I belong to like coaching groups on LinkedIn, coaching groups on Facebook. All I get all day long are emails and posts from these groups trying to sell me on how to be rich and famous as a coach. So now it's just a bunch of noise to me. And if the phone rings, I'm going to pick it up. That person's going to have better opportunity to connect with me over the phone trying to sell me something than all. I literally get dozens, if not scores, of electronic internet-based communications every day that at this point are just invisible to me. So I think to Flo's point, it has to be a good mix. Somebody was telling me for my industry, they try to focus on 20% cold calling, 50% internet marketing, and then 30% actually face-to-face through networking groups and things like that, and visiting those B2B clients, maybe trying to warm up the lead first through a phone call or email, and then trying to get in front of them face-to-face. But that's for my particular industry. There are other industries where the internet makes more sense probably 99% of the time. So I think it depends on your industry also.
Surely it depends on the industry, and it depends on what's your goal. As I said before, when you want to reach the CEO, then good luck with an email. Then good luck with, well, email maybe works, but then good luck with an ad. But yeah, it depends. Another good thing you said is this development we can right now observe, that we have such an information overload in the internet that people just get every message. They just have like this high noise filter, and then actually call sticks out. And there's another good approach a lot of marketers do and engage more and more over is the actual letter, writing a personal letter. That I never tried by myself yet. I will definitely, but I heard it should work pretty well.
So that's truly going old school. And I think we can all agree that there is no one right way. Going back to Believe in Business's question, it probably has to be a mixture. But what that mixture is, and welcome Ian Murray, thank you for joining. What that mixture is probably going to be based on your industry, and I think even based on how long you've been in business and startup, what kind of relationships and connections you already have. I'm one of those people coming from corporate America where I'm getting to a place where I have to learn not to rely so heavily on email, because in my generation and when I was starting out, email was a big thing. You know, sending a cold email to a prospective client and putting attachments with, you know, flyers about your business. And email is not even as effective as it used to be. And I think email at some point is going to start, you know, really being less effective. So I think it's based on your industry, where you are, but I think we can agree it probably needs to be a mixture of some calls, some emailing, and then some social media / internet type marketing.
Definitely, I think that rounds it up. Let's go back to the definition of sales.
Okay.
I thought a little bit about it while we had this conversation, and I think it's not an easy question, and even for me, it's not easy. And I think you should to see that in a broader, more philosophical picture. There's a sales of yourself, selling yourself. That what you actually do every day. Every interaction you have, you're actually selling yourself. When you talk to someone, you sell them yourself. When you go to a hairdresser, it's a kind of, yeah, you want to be in shape, you want to have a good haircut, you're selling yourself. And then there's a selling on the entrepreneurial or business level, and that's actually that where we know this selling comes from. That what we all think that's selling. And I think they're two different direction of selling. And I think you should always have these both in mind. And for example, there are a lot of corporations right now. They use let's go. Usually old businesses, they sold in the old approach or the normal approach of selling to another business. And yeah, we are business, we are selling to others. And there's a new direction right now that they sell also themselves as a person. Usually the CEO, if the CEO makes himself a brand, it can be very effective. Just think about Steve Jobs. He didn't just sell Apple as a brand. He sold basically, everybody knew him. He was like this famous guy and sold himself, like basically. Yep.
I agree with that. I think that you are behind your brand, and people buy you or what you represent before they will even buy your product. So it is about you and who you are. I always thought of sales. My definition of sales was, in a word, relationship, because people buy from people that they know, trust, and like. So the first part of selling, in its essence, it's about building relationships so that people either like you, trust you, or feel like they know you, and then will, as an extension, buy your product. So I agree with that definition. There really is two parts of selling you and your brand, and then selling that tangible product.
Definitely.
So we got a couple of people that joined us here. Welcome, Maddie D. Welcome, Ian Murray. Welcome, Comforter. Feel free to send us questions with a /Q. That will help the question to stand out. Also, feel free, if you would like to come up on the panel. We have 2 open seats. Share your views. There are no right or wrong answers here. We're just sharing information with one another in a support of startups and entrepreneurs. So I think this might be a good time, Flo, to kind of get into the main event. We've had some preliminary bouts to warm the crowd up, but you and I had gotten to a discussion about what is most important for an entrepreneur, leadership skills or sales skills. And we decided to debate this or battle it out like, UFC on Blab with input from some of the viewers. So I thought we can jump right into that conversation and really get into which one we think is most important for the entrepreneur. So here's my question for you, Flo, sir. Why in the heck are sales skills so important for an entrepreneur? What is it about sales that is important for a startup?
For a startup or for an entrepreneur, they're two different things.
For an entrepreneur.
For an entrepreneur, I think it all starts with sales. Just think about why some businesses grow and why others fail, especially in the startup sector. Like 70-80% of all startups, they fail within 5 years. That's a big number. And then also why some businesses, bigger business, thrive. Actually, they grow massively, no matter what, and there are other businesses who just barely make it. Why is that? And I say it's just because of their focus. How much value they put into sales, how much they focus on sales. And if you don't have sales, then nothing works around. You don't get cash in to develop more product. Basically, all whole economies are depending on sales.
So as an entrepreneur, what you're saying is if I don't get generating some revenue right away, I'm in danger of my business kind of just going kaput.
I didn't get the, yeah, basically, yes. You are if you don't make sales, you're in danger. Your startup or your business is not developing. What's basically the goal of a business? The goal of a business is to have a one person or a group of people who tries to add value to others. And if you're not able to convert that value, then you don't have a business.
Okay, you said something that I find extremely interesting, sir. It is that word value. I'm so glad you threw that in there. And before I go on, I just wanted to welcome everybody that just joined us. Rosalie, welcome. If you've not been on the Blab before, you can give props to the speaker if you like what they're saying by clicking on the hands, as you see me doing now for my co-host Flo here. I'll let them know that you appreciate their comments or what they're saying. If you type in a /Q, that will highlight questions. And again, if you would like to join on the panel, we have 2 seats open. You can come live on the air and share your views. All views are welcome here. So I love that you use that word value, because truly that's what it is, right? If you're an entrepreneur, typically you're doing this because you're passionate about bringing a certain value to people. You're not really thinking about, well, most of us are not thinking about being rich overnight. You're thinking about how I feel like my product or my service can bring value to people. And I think that should be a part of that definition of sales. So when I think about value, that leads me to believe that leadership is going to be vital. Because leadership is about bringing value to others. Leadership is about creating that vision for others to see, for people to buy into. Leadership is about not only you understanding the value, but getting others that you're trying to bring into your organization to see the value also. And that's one of the reasons why I think entrepreneurs need that leadership skill, because everywhere you go, you want people to share in your vision, what we call that infectious or that contagious vision of the value you feel you bring to people. That's why leadership is vital when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, for me.
Okay, makes sense. What happens if you want to convert, if you have this value, as you said with leadership, and don't are not able to bring that to other people? Is it also part of leadership to bring value to other people?
I think it is. I think for me, leadership is about serving others. In other words, I bring value to their lives in a leadership position. I bring value to them by supporting them, by developing them, by being open to their ideas, by nurturing their ideas, by helping them to become stronger leaders. That all gets them to buy into my vision, but I'm giving them value in my leadership, and also by the way I lead them. I hope to add value to their lives. So it's almost like, and I hate to say this because it will sound like I'm agreeing with you, and I don't know that I want to agree with you yet on about sales skills, but it's almost like I'm selling them on their part of my business. I'm selling them on why they should want to interact with me and be a part of my path and my journey as an entrepreneur. I'm selling them on, why this vision I have should be their vision. I mean, because truly, that is what leadership is getting people to buy into your vision. And then that's that selling part again, right? But I'm not trying to help you win your argument, sir. So,
all right, definitely. I think it's a selling part, but just let me ask you, can you actually be a good leader but bad in sales?
That's a good question. I'm going to say yes, that you can be a good leader and bad at sales. And I'll tell you why. Is as a good leader, I don't necessarily have to have all the answers. I don't have to be a smart person. I need to surround myself with smart people. So maybe I don't fully understand the mechanics of selling, but I got strong salespeople on my team. Now, I think a good leader needs to understand some of the basics for credibility and additional buy-in from your team. But maybe I have some of the best salespeople around me and on my team that may understand the mechanics of sales skills better than I do. But see, that goes to my argument. Then I need to be the best leader I can be.
Okay, I see. I see. I think it all starts when you're an entrepreneur. Let's just go back to that adding value. You have basically an intrinsic reason or a need to add that value. You have actually a vision, how you want to change something. And you want to convert that vision, So
Right.
I just play that through. If I'm a good leader and I have this vision, so I think, okay, I can lead other salespeople and they will do the selling for me. But what do I do if I can't even sell my vision? Then I never get good salespeople.
Very, very good point. So,
Well, yeah, because look, I had a similar situation. Was for a startup. They tried to hire high level salespeople, like a top level sales force, and they had a hard time to do so. It was one person, one entrepreneur. He had this vision, and he was more a programmer. He developed the software, and he didn't know how to get across this vision, how to convince an outstanding sales rep. In the end, he got a sales rep. He was okay, but he would have done better if he, in the first place, could have sold his vision better and convinced basically the sales rep to get his efforts in and work for him.
So it almost sounds like the chicken and the egg. So which one comes first? So which one does come first? If I'm starting out as an entrepreneur and I'm brand new and embarking on this journey to give this value I feel I have to others, which one do I need to have first, or which one do I work on first? My sales skills or my leadership skills?
I say clearly your sales skills.
Okay. So
but depending on your depending on your definition of leadership, what is for you? Just define for all of us, what is for you leadership? What contains it?
Okay, for me, leadership comes down to one word and one word only: influence. It's the ability to influence others. There's a quote, I can't recall how it goes exactly, but the difference between leadership and management is people doing something because you tell them they have to do it, and leadership is people doing something because they want to do it. And for me, that's what leadership is. It is people supporting you, following you, allowing you to lead because they want to. They have bought into it, and man, they will do anything they can to set you up for success. They don't care what their position or title is in the company. And I think about Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs, in my opinion, had this great influence. There are others who talk to his need to control everything or maybe be a perfectionist. but people bought into what he was trying to accomplish. So he had this team behind him that was willing to follow him through thick mud, blazing fire, whatever the case may be, blindly, that blind faith that I believe in that leader. So my definition of leadership is the ability to influence others. Now, I think it's important to point out, some people say, isn't that manipulation? Well, the difference between influencing somebody and manipulating somebody is your intent. How are you walking into this? If you walk into any situation with bad intentions, then yeah, that's manipulation. I'm talking about walking into it with good intentions, then that becomes influence. And welcome, Ro Beauty.
Yeah, welcome. We have a comment. Good questions, hopefully.
Yeah, she said Walt Disney was always referring to the fact that you needed both and the ability to go back and forth.
That's a good point.
She believes that you need both, and a good entrepreneur oscillates back and forth. I like that word, oscillate. Makes me think of this right here. You need strategic vision and leadership with the tactical skills of sales. Many entrepreneurs lack one or the other, or the ability to fill in the gaps. I could not have said that better. I mean, I think it is a back and forth. And I think, Flo, even as we discuss this, and thank you for that, Ro Beauty, even as we discuss this, we're kind of going back and forth, almost like the chicken and the egg.
Yeah, right.
It really is a combination of those two skills. And Ro Beauty, if you want to join the panel and share your thoughts, we would love to have you. There are no right or wrong answers here. We're just sharing our own perspectives on leadership and sales.
But as you say, it's a good point. We even go back and forth as you came up with influence. That's also basically what you're doing to the selling while you're selling. You try to get influence over the other person. That's a selling process. And yeah, it's like it's a back and forth, something who goes within.
Okay, so here's a question I have, and this question is really for you, Flo, but also maybe for Ro Beauty. She stated that Walt Disney said that you need to be able to go back and forth, but some entrepreneurs lack one or the other, or the ability to fill in that gap. How do you go about filling in that gap? If you feel like you don't have one or the other, I mean, what do you do?
What do you do? Well, you try to develop the other by yourself. But yeah, you have to develop both within you. I think it starts out with developing yourself. There were some more comments.
I'm sorry, Ro Beauty had added something there that maybe you start with the piece that comes natural to you. So if leadership is your natural inclination, perhaps you start with that, because if it comes natural to you, it'll take less energy and focus for you to implement that, and it will help you to get up and running. And then maybe you work on the skill set that you need help with and start incorporating others that have that skill set, or even surrounding yourself with people, like she pointed out, that have that skill set. And John Maxwell says that you're an average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. So if you are going to spend yourself around people who have a greater sense of sales skills than you, and that's your weak area or your area of opportunity, I think it will begin to raise your bar in your sales skills. But I think I kind of agree with that aspect of starting with what comes naturally to you, because I think it'll be an easier transition because I don't have to focus as much on it.
There's a good idea, a good thought coming up for me. When you're good at sales, or assume you're good at a good leader, but you're not good at sales, and you develop your leadership skills, do you think there will, in this process, you will also develop the other skill?
That's a tough question. So if I work really hard, I got natural leadership skills, and then I work really hard to truly refine those leadership skills, will the sales come along? Is that kind of what your question is?
Kind of, or vice versa.
Yeah. And Ro Beauty threw in there that she's a big fan of mastermind groups, which I agree. I actually am conducting a mastermind group on leadership right now, and that group is comprised of all entrepreneurs. So going back to your question, Flo, I don't know if it will double down on my sales. I think that if I got strong leadership skills and I work to really refine those leadership skills or to enhance them even further, could it help my sales? Maybe, but if I have strong leadership, I think I need to begin shoring up my sales skills. If my leadership, I think, is already on par, I need to quickly begin developing what I think are the necessary sales skills to complement my leadership skills. Maybe there's an aspect or an opportunity to, what's the word I'm looking for? Fill in the gap, I guess I would say, for my sales skills through making my leadership stronger. But then I run the risk of being terribly unbalanced and maybe only relying on what my strength is.
What do you think? How is it the other way around? Let's assume you are like an outstanding sales rep. You're starting out in a boiler room. You're getting better. You're making like 100 calls a day. You're getting deals in. You're getting customers. You work with the customers. You learn how to interact with them personally. How to interact with more customers, and that develops on. Don't you think that will also train your leadership skills in the process?
Well, I think to a certain degree, whether we're looking at either scenario, I think you'll get some residual skill building. If you're a salesperson,
for the new people,
welcome, Nappy Natural Girl joined, and I think it's Elena or Eleni Smith. Hey, how are you? How are you? Feel free to join our seat if you would like. Eileen, thank you for that pronunciation. I think if you're truly strong in sales, that there's probably some leadership skills at work there, right? Because leadership is about influence and selling is about building relationships and helping people see the value. So I think there's some crossover there in terms of leadership skills and sales skills. So if you're really strong in sales, there has to be some little inkling of leadership going on there.
So go back to our first question. What is more important then? With what you should start out, or on what you can rely only?
I think I'm going to go back to what Roe Beauty said. I mean, I think I might fall back to my natural style. Only because, and I'm only thinking from my perspective, I tend to rely on my strength first because it's a no-brainer and I can go on autopilot. I don't have to really put much thought into it. For me, my leadership skills trump my sales skills. So I would rely on that first because it's autopilot. It's going to come to me very naturally, and then I can put that other energy into, okay, what do I need to do to get my sales skills? And I'll use a real life example, Flo. How you and I became partners is I quickly realized that cold calling was not my forte. I am a leadership developer. That's my forte. And I knew about sales, but I worked in a sales environment with inbound calling. So I quickly had to reach out to experts and others who are more knowledgeable in cold calling sales skills in order to get my business up and running. I didn't do anything really around leadership in the beginning. I focused more on how can I get my sales skills up quickly, almost to kind of raise up closer to my leadership. But I think it'll always be a little unbalanced because this is where I naturally live, right here.
Yeah.
And this is out of my comfort zone. So, I mean, it'll get closer, but cold calling will probably never be something that I'm a master at, but I might get proficient in it.
I disagree.
Okay. Tell me why.
No, I think there's this old saying, salespeople are born. That's absolutely not true. Salespeople are built. Salespeople are made. And you can have maybe a natural inclination in your personality type that you're more proactive and more expressive, but you can train to a lot to a high degree, and I think there's not that, there's maybe like between a sales rep who makes 2 million sales a year and a sales rep who makes 1 million in sales a year. There's maybe a natural inclination to, but I think you can get really good in it. You just have to train it
and practice it. I appreciate you saying that and having pity on me. And Nappy Natural Girl stated that good influencers sell naturally. And I think being a good leader, there's got to be a little bit of selling there, because you're selling people on an ideal, a vision, a intangible sometimes. And I think that takes sales skills. But I'm going to challenge you a little bit here, Flo. I think when it comes to sales and leadership, there might be some small amount of natural traits you have to have, but I believe both of them can be taught. I never viewed myself as a leader or understanding leadership or leadership skills, but I was thrust into leadership positions over and over and over again. And some of it was learning trial by fire, being thrown into the swimming pool and having to just start swimming. And then I began to improve my leadership skills. But in the beginning, I lacked confidence to be a good leader. I lacked confidence to do any selling. It was only through practice and being put in positions where I had no choice but to step up my game that I began to build leadership skills. So I don't know that we're always necessarily born with it, but I think that we can all learn and develop it. Maybe we don't become masters. Maybe the strongest leaders and the best sellers have a little bit of natural ability, but I think a lot of it can be taught.
Definitely. There was Row Beauty had a pretty good comment on that. That it depends all on you. Both it's important, and that it depends on the best use of your time. And I think that's also right, because when you're an entrepreneur, when you're having your own business, then time is an important factor, and you should go with your natural skill and try to minimize, because when you're naturally good in it, you don't need that much time to get successful in that or to get results. With the other thing, what you're not that good at, you need more time to get results. So you have to do both. But when you get other people who are better in sales or better in leadership, then you should add each other up.
Well, Row Beauty pointed out something, and I actually kind of tweeted a quote related to this today, is it's always about the right actions, because there may be 5 different things that you need to be working on, but every day as an entrepreneur, you have to determine what are the right actions I need to do today to propel my business forward. If you could be doing the right things at the wrong time, and it can work against your business. And sometimes I do think we will fall onto the shiny thing kind of thing, the thing that we think is more fun or easier to do, but it's not the thing that's propelling the business forward, and get lost in that. Like, my thing is websites. I used to build websites and I loved that. And when it came to me starting my own business, I found myself, putzing around with the website part of it, but that was not what was propelling my business forward. It was actually the networking events and the cold calling. So I actually hired somebody to do my website, because I just came to a realization that probably was not a good use of my time to focus on building my own website, because I needed to get in front of people. So I gave that task to somebody else. So I kind of agree with that. You got to make sure you're doing the right actions at the right time, or you could spend a lot of time on the wrong thing and your business can fail.
Definitely. We got some comments here. Business versus business. Definitely. I think that follows up with that, what you said. And Ghost Music thinks sales skills are more important or better for entrepreneurship. Well, we discussed that in the beginning a bit, and we came up to the conclusion that that's back and forth, and both are important. But I still think in the beginning sales skills are highly important.
Well, then what about leadership skills? What about leadership of self? right? Because I think when we talk about leadership, we're thinking about leadership of leading others. What about for an entrepreneur? What role does leadership of self play in a budding entrepreneur, someone just starting out?
I think for that you should define for every one of us for a second what's leadership of self. For my ancient view of leadership is something to lead others, influence others. But there is something as leadership of self, as you told me. What I still can't differentiate between self improvement. Can you just?
Well, I think leadership is and often is defined as influencing others. However, if I can't even lead myself, how can I possibly influence others? And I think leadership and self-development, well, self-leadership and self-development are one and the same. I think they go hand in hand. And as an entrepreneur, I think that if you're not engaged in self-development, you may struggle because no entrepreneur knows everything. And it kind of goes to Ro Beauty's comment about letting others shine and being able to tap into the talents of somebody else. But I can't have all the answers as an entrepreneur. There's no way I can know everything about everything out there. So I have to have the ability to develop myself in the key areas and also be able to identify others that I can incorporate into my vision. But what about time management? What about self-discipline? What about, we talk about ABC, always be closing. What about always be learning? To me, that's self-development, but it's self-leadership too. It's knowing that I'm not going to know everything, but I need to know there's some things I need to improve my skills in. I'm sorry, Flo, what were you saying?
Oh yeah, as you said, always be learning, sharpening the saw. If you don't, as Stephen Covey says, if you don't sharpen the saw, you will at one point get stuck. Yeah, you always have to do that. But even in sales, you always have to do it. You know, for example, before every cold call I do, and if I even do 50 to 100 calls a day, I do it every time. I give myself a little prep. I say I can sell this guy no matter what. I will sell him. I will get him. I will convert some value over there, and you always have to learn to improve yourself. And when you say yes, that's part of leadership. Your definition of leadership, I say it's self-improvement, but when it goes hand in hand, I think it all starts with there. Definitely.
So I just wanted to reference a book, and you know me, Flo, I always have a couple of books laying around. So I follow a lot of John C. Maxwell's leadership principles. I'm just a big believer in John C. Maxwell. And he has a book that's titled Developing the Leaders Around You. But he also has a book that's titled Developing the Leader Within You.
Okay.
Because I think that you have to be able to lead yourself first before you can lead others. And as an entrepreneur, I've learned so much about my strengths, but I've also learned so much about my opportunities, about what I needed to work on, different things like the art of networking. I didn't know anything about networking. I used to just go to networking events and, sit down and eat, maybe exchange some business cards. I had to learn how to network properly. Whoever thought that would be important? But that's part of self-leadership, is me getting stronger in my skill set, developing my skill set. Then it's a skill I can pass on to somebody else. So when I begin to grow my business and I form a team, I've now had that firsthand experience with particular things that I might be able to share with my team that helps me be a better leader by now developing them. And I just wanted to kind of see what Flo Beauty had put in here. A good leader needs to be an example, even with their flaws and struggles. And to me, that's the definition of being authentic. Is no leader should act as if or even try to pretend to be perfect. Sometimes you can influence others by being willing to be vulnerable, to be transparent, to be a sheet of glass, and let them see that you have your strengths and opportunities, but also that you're willing to work on them to get better. And I wanted to welcome Stephen to the discussion here. But Flo, so have we come up with a solution of what's most important? I know we've
I
Share a
think,
lot of
look,
ideas.
look, I think we more or less come up with sales is important as you start out. Then leadership as we know it is gets more and more important because then you get the people around you, you have a mastermind, you develop other things. But when you take leadership of within you, leadership of the self, and or self improvement into that equation, then I think it all starts with that.
So it reminds me of a song. So yes, you will get to hear me sing, Flo. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. He's asking that I change my ways. It always starts in the mirror. The more I improve myself, the more I give others permission to improve themselves, the more I'm authentic and show my flaws, and the more I share my information and knowledge with others, it just allows others to buy more into my vision. So it always has to start in the mirror. I have to be the best leader for myself so that I can be the best leader for others. If I don't hold myself to a standard, how can I expect anybody else to live up to a standard? I mean, when you think about it, there's an expression, what you do speaks so loudly that people cannot hear what you say. So your actions will dictate to others your standards, your level of commitment to yourself and to others. So I think it does start with the man in the mirror. And we got a couple of comments here. Please, folks, feel free to comment or /Q to type a question. Ro Beauty says, I agree. So it's all about highest and best use of my time. If I'm starting as an entrepreneur, what will propel my business most right now? So what gives me the biggest bang for my buck right now?
And you should ask this question if you're a founder every day. You should ask yourself that question every day.
Right. Is what I'm doing right now going to help my business? Because especially with social media, it's so easy to get distracted or to fall back on what you like doing or what's easy to do. But to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now going to propel my business forward? Or is it, just a fun task to do? So I agree with that. So as we wind down, we got about 5 minutes here, Flo. What is your conclusion, sir? We talk about sales skills versus leadership skills. What does it all come down to for an entrepreneur?
What is it? I think it comes not all down to it. It stands all on these two skills, and it stands on and depends on all these two skills. While we discuss the timeline where it starts. If you take self-improvement, leadership within into the equation, it starts with that, and it goes to sales, and then it goes to leadership, as we know it. And it all stands on these two things. And it basically, I would say the conclusion is it's always a within, like it together, like it's like something interconnected. You will go this way, and at the same time will improve the other skill. But if you go this way, you always will also improve the other skill, and you have to actually to grow. It's just two basic pillars.
And I think we've also come to the conclusion that if you're good in one, you have some of the skills in the other. If you're a good leader, then you have some sales ability there. And if you're a really good seller, you have to have some leadership abilities because you're influencing people to some degree. So if you're very strong in one, you probably have some of the other. But I think also it is about that oscillating back and forth and understanding where I spend my most time right now. I think too that it's about quickly shoring up your areas of opportunity or your gaps so that you don't have it as a deficiency going forward. And I think I just want to talk about some quick examples of that. In this day and age, there's so many virtual opportunities. I'm on a free conference, a free webinar tonight about sales skills that I found through somebody's tweet. There are mastermind groups. There are virtual mastermind groups. There are online accountability partnerships. Me and you, Flo, we have a online accountability partnership. I mean, you're in Europe, I'm in the United States, but we work together and speak weekly to support one another. You support me in sales, and I support you in leadership. So there are tons of opportunities out there to improve your skill set in one or the other if you think you're lacking in one. There is definitely no absence of information, but remember, information in of itself will not improve a skill. Skill improvement comes from focused practice on it, not just continuous study. You got to put some of these things into action. And I got a question here. What is the name of your business, please, Snow? So just as a recap, we have two hosts here. We have my man Flo sitting in France, and my name is Tony Snow, and I am in Pennsylvania, USA. So we have two separate companies, and I will type in my information. And Flo, if you can put your information in, my website is powerful.com, and I'll spell it out for you. And on Facebook. Okay, and Row Beauty is in the New York City, New Jersey area. Okay, I was in North Jersey last night for a Toastmaster contest. And Flo, you put yourself, your information in. Okay. Yeah, Row Beauty, we're very close. I'm 90 minutes outside of New York City in the Poconos.
Definitely. So, no, I think you summed it up pretty good. And we should also always use these opportunities we have right now to keep it oscillating, to keep it flowing.
Yeah, I agree. Oscillating. That's going to be the word of the day, Row Beauty, is that oscillation. So just going back and forth, dipping in and out of that sales and leadership. So as we bring this show to a close, I want to thank you for your participation and your attendance. I would encourage anyone who tunes in next week, don't be afraid to take a seat and come on screen live. We don't care if your hair's messed up or you don't have on makeup or whatever the case may be. And let me see something here. Last comment here. All this talk about best use of time. I literally just found a tool called Rescue Time. Really cool to help yourself stop wasting time. And thank you for that, Row Beauty, because we all need help in staying focused in this day and age of, instantaneous information, I guess I will call it. Flo, any closing comments, sir?
No, yeah, let's just keep it flowing. Keep it oscillating.
Good play on words, Flo. Keep it flowing. I like that. Like Fat Joe said, you got to flow, Joe. You got to flow. Yeah. So we're going to bring this show to a close. Thank you again, everybody, for all your comments. Believe in Business and Row Beauty and anyone else I may have forgotten. Appreciate it. We are Flo and Snow. This is the Flo and Snow Show. Sundays, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great day. And again, Flo, as you sit in France, our hearts and our support go out to you and the French people.
Definitely. Yeah. Nice having you here. See you next week, next Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.